At this point, we've learned a good deal of words that we can use to make simple sentences. I'm a man. He's a teacher. We're at home. The next step is to learn how to add a little more detail. I'm a happy man. He's a handsome teacher. Those are beautiful eyes. Basically, adjectives. 안녕하세요, Cloud입니다. Hey guys, Cloud here. And in this lesson of Learn Korean with Cloud, we'll be conquering Korean adjectives. Alright, let's get into it. This is lesson 4 of How to Study Korean. We'll be talking about common greeting words, using adjectives. You'll see what this nian and in are in a bit, using 많다 in sentences and the particle to. So first obviously is vocab, but I'm assuming you guys did that on your own. A lot of these words are actually kind of easy, like taxi, 택시. What was the other one that was easy that I thought? I don't remember right now, but a lot of these words are very common to see, like 오다, to come. You're going to use that a lot. 알다, to know. Let's see, what else is there? What else is there? 많다. You're going to see that a lot. Used as 많이. And 많이 sounds a lot like many, so it's easy to kind of remember. Okay, let's get into this. Common greeting words. I wish I could tell you not to worry about these. Of course, I can tell you don't worry about these, but I don't think you will. When learning a language, everybody wants to learn these words as soon as possible, which makes sense because you want to be able to say hi, bye, and stuff like that. I understand that completely, but I have purposefully waited to teach you these types of words. In fact, I still don't want to show them to you, but at this point, I'm sure you're asking yourselves, I've gotten this far and still don't even know how to say goodbye yet. There's a very good reason why you don't know how to say goodbye yet. In Korean, it's much easier to understand these words, phrases, if you understand why they're used the way they are. Unfortunately, we haven't reached that point where you can understand. We will get that in a few more lessons. Either way, here are some very common phrase words, which I'm sure you're dying to know. 안녕히 가세요, 안녕히 계세요. Actually, I never realized what these words were until maybe, I don't know, like maybe a year into me studying. Like, I was thinking, oh, which one should I use in this situation? And I was like, wait a minute, 가다 is to go, so obviously it's 가세요 for someone who's going. And then 계세요 is just, it's an honorific word, but it just means like to stay, to not go. So I would say that to someone who's not leaving, and I'm the one leaving. And it just made so much sense, which now I understand why he wanted to wait until later to explain these, because we haven't even learned what these 세요 are, or these he at the end of 안녕, which I'm sure you've heard 안녕 a lot. But yeah, nice to meet you. 만나서 반갑습니다. 실례합니다. Excuse me. 죄송합니다. Or 미안합니다. Sorry. 이름이 뭐예요? What's your name? This you're going to hear a lot. 이름이 뭐예요? And then 제 이름은 뭐뭐이에요. Or for me, 카드이에요. Or 카드예요. Oh, we haven't learned that yet, so I shouldn't. 어디서 왔어요? Where are you from? 저는 미국, the US. 미국에서 왔어요. I'm from the US. Or you could say 저는 영국에서 왔어요. Like, what's 영국 in English? The UK, yeah. My English, sometimes I forget. If you can't memorize these, it's okay. I still maintain the position that you should put off memorizing these until you understand the grammar within them. I disagree because I ask a lot of people, like whenever I get students or people who just are using me like as a consultant kinda to like help them set their schedule and kind of give them the study material that would be best fit for them, which I do for free. So if you want, you can DM me on Instagram or Twitter. Shameless plug, obviously. But a lot of times I tell them to get a language exchange partner, like a Korean language exchange partner, through Tandem or through HelloTalk or whatever. iTalki has that feature nowadays, I hear as well. I tell them that they should find someone. And obviously the first thing that they're going to hear is probably like 만나서 반갑습니다 or just 반갑습니다. Like they're going to hear these words, and if they don't even know what these words are, it's just, I don't know. It's uncomfortable. It's just, I think it would be better just to know them. You don't have to memorize them. I mean, I would memorize like this one. Honestly, just nice to meet you. Other than that, I think you can get away with not knowing any of these. If you're speaking with a Korean person, you're probably not going to ask where they're from. They might ask you where you're from, so that's why you would want to know it. But yeah, I think as long as you know nice to meet you, because you're going to probably say that. Oh, 제 이름은, like this, my name is. You probably want to know. So like this one, my name is, where are you from, or where am I from? Like answering where you're from. And then nice to meet you, I think are the only three. If you just like repeat them once every day before you go to sleep, and then for a week, or I think it might take 2 weeks because it's a different language, but you do that for 2 weeks and you're not going to forget them. So if you really don't want to memorize them, you can just repeat them. Or you can even listen to them being played. Alright, now let's actually get to some actual material. Using adjectives, ni은 or 은. Okay, so this is relatively easy conjugation, but let's just see what he has to say. Alright, this won't help you understand those reading words any better, but what you're about to learn, sorry about that, what you're about to learn is a major step in learning Korean. You should remember these two important facts from the previous lesson. All sentences must end with either a verb or adjective. All verbs and adjectives end with the syllable 타. So let's confirm this. Here, let's look at the passive verbs. 끝나다 ends in 다. 위험하다, 잘생기다, 못생기다. Let's look at some regular verbs. 오다, 끝내다, 춤추다. And obviously nouns don't, right? So are there any adjectives here? Yes, here. Oh, I already talked about them. And then adverbs are a bit different. All right, let's go back to where we were. Although both of these are true, one second, let me clean my glasses because I feel like I'm blind. I don't know where my little piece of cloth is, but I will find that later. I've been working on my brother's kitchen, so there's a lot of dust. As you probably saw in my Instagram post, today we finished the kitchen, so I'm pretty happy with that. Or we didn't finish the kitchen, we just finished one part of the kitchen. So now it's ready for us to install stuff. So we removed everything successfully. Anyways, back to the lesson. Although both of these are true and always will be, let's look at them more deeply. All sentences must end with either a verb or adjective. Yes, but verbs and adjectives can also go elsewhere in sentences. Like we said, I'm a happy man. That's an adjective, and it's happy is before man. I guess that's in English. Not in Korean. But those beautiful eyes are very big. Those are... I think he has a cool example. Instead of me making it up. In the previous lesson, you learned the sentence 저는 배를 원하다. I want a boat. Also, let me know if I'm speaking too fast. I know people said I speak too fast, so I try to slow down, especially when reading Korean sentences. So if you still think I speak too fast, please let me know, and I will try my best to speak a bit slower. I just don't want the videos to go really long. But yeah, let me know. But what if you want to say, I want a big boat? So this is kind of what he meant. Want is going to go at the end. 원하다. Big boat, well, big is a verb, or an adjective. And it's going to go in the middle of a sentence. So we're going to learn how to do that today. In that sentence, there's a verb and an adjective. Where should we put the adjective? In Korean, this adjective is placed in the same position as in English. For example, 나는 배를 원하다. I want a boat. It would become 나는 big 배를 원하다. I want a big boat. Simple. So we just substitute the Korean word for big, which is 크다, into the sentence. 나는 크다 배를 원하다, which is incorrect. Not by a long shot. I even had trouble just saying that sentence because it sounds weird. Remember the second rule that I taught you? All verbs and adjectives ends with the syllable 타. Yes, that is true. But the version of the word with 타 as a last syllable is simply the dictionary form. So this is something you're going to learn. There's a dictionary form and then there's a conjugated form. You almost never use the, that was very Korean of me to say you almost always. You almost never use the dictionary form. I mean, there are some situations with like adjectives, but just in general, you should not use it. You're always going to have to conjugate it. And we're going to learn our first instance of conjugation today. It's very, very, very simple. Other conjugations can get really complicated with a lot of rules and exceptions. This has some exceptions. I don't know if he goes into it this lesson. I don't remember. Let me check. Yes, he does. I think so. But this is like the easiest thing. If you can't get this, I recommend you just do some practice problems. Look up some other resources like Go Billy Korean talks about it. Talk to me in Korean as well. I'm pretty sure I saw Korean Only had a episode on this. So just like really hammer it in. Don't worry about your pace. Just really understand this, because later on you're going to be like, okay, I kind of understand how things relate. That's just my recommendation. Alright, what was he saying? Every verb, adjective in Korean has a stem, which is made up of everything preceding ta in the dictionary form. So, 크다, the stem is 크, and then you have ta. 작다, which to be small. Same thing. 작 is the stem. 타 is just added. You're going to hear this so much. You just add it to the stem. Add it to the stem. What is the stem? Well, you take the word, you remove 타, that's the stem. 좋다. 초 is the stem, and 타 is not the stem. It's just the 타 at the end. 길다, same thing. The stem is 길. 배우다, the stem is 배우. Even verbs that or adjectives that are much longer, like 부지런하다, like for example, everything except for the ta would be the stem. So it's fairly simple. You just get rid of the ta. You just eliminate the ta, and voila, you have the stem. So to make an adjective that describes a noun, which is what adjectives do: small boy, big boat, handsome teacher. Thank you very much. What was the other example I gave? Beautiful eyes, happy man, soft hands, delicious hamburger. You must eliminate the ta, so just get the stem, and then you either add the nian or un to the stem, straight to the stem. So 크다. So he gives examples here. When would you use just nian, and when would you use un? Well, if there's no 받침, if there's no ending syllable here at the bottom of these last syllables, then you add the nian, and you actually place it there because there's a spot for it. So for example, 크다, you just add the nian, 큰. So 큰 배, big boat. 비싸다 would be 비싼 음식, expensive food. 싸다, 싼 것, cheap thing. And then if else, God, that's too engineering-ish, or I guess computer engineering. But if it's not that way, then you would add 은 to it. So 작다, to be small, you would get rid of the 타, and then 작은, you would just straight up just put it there. 작은 남자, small man. Same thing for 좋다. The verb, you take the word, you get rid of the ta to get the stem, you add the 은, 좋은 아들, good son. Same thing with 많다, 많은 돈, a lot of money. Looking back at what we were trying to write before, I want a big boat. 저는 큰 배를 원하다. We would not say 크다 배를 원하다. I mean, I guess technically that could be like two sentences. 저는 크다, like I'm big. And then 배를 원하다, I want a boat. But I think, would I understand this if I heard it? Well, I'm not a native, so I'm not sure. But 저는 크다 배를, I think I would understand it. But just don't make it a habit to do that. Just actually learn how to conjugate. It's fairly simple, like I said. The key to understanding this is being, I think I'm talking too fast. Okay. Alright, Cloud. The key to understanding this is being able to understand the difference between the following. 음식은 비싸다, 비싼 음식. The food is expensive, and expensive food. So before he talks about it, I want to talk about it a little bit. Basically, if it's in the middle of a sentence, if that's your whole sentence, the food is expensive, well then expensive is going to go at the end. But if you're talking about something, right? Like, the happy teacher went to the store, the cool guy did something. You're describing something and then you're continuing the sentence. That's not the whole sentence. The whole sentence isn't, this guy's cool. If that's the case, verb or adjective goes at the end. If that's not the case, then that specific adjective that you're using is going to go right behind the word that you're saying. So, the cool man went to the store and bought, 15 apples because he had a math problem that he had to solve. So that's just my 2 cents on it. So let's see what he has to say. The first example, by the way, his name is Will. He's a really cool guy. Very, very nice. All my interactions with him were very nice. I have someone else who bought a couple of his stories, I think, or workbooks. I don't remember, but he only sung his praises, so I really like the guy. The second sentence needs more words in order for it to be a sentence. Expensive food is just not a sentence, like we were saying. Maybe the expensive food isn't as good as it should be. Like, it should be better because it's expensive, you know? Alright, you need to add either a verb or adjective that predicates the noun of expensive food. For example, 나는 비싼 음식을 먹다. I eat expensive food. I have a friend who does this. He just always wants me to go to like these buffets for like $50. And I'm just like, yeah, you know, I could just make food and that cost me like $3 to make food for 2 days. Overall, I guess. And my food tastes better. But that's because I'm an awesome cook. 저는 비싼 음식을 좋아하다. I like expensive food. Oh, he says the verb to eat predicates this sentence. So, basically, expensive food is describing what you eat. I eat expensive food. Same thing here. I like expensive food. Expensive food is what I like. 비싼 음식을 맛있다. Expensive food is delicious. I can argue with that. Notice there is no object in the sentence. You can see there's no or 를. There's no object in this sentence. I like, or in this specific sentence, like expensive food is delicious. You wouldn't add 비싼 음식을 맛있다. That just makes no sense. Here there's obviously because I'm talking about what I like. That's the object. I like this. That's the object. Same thing here. I eat this. There's an object there. Oh, you can't see my hand. This camera sucks. I need to get a webcam. It's like a nose shot, you know? But remember, for the last time, you do not know how to conjugate verbs. It's the last time because it's the last lesson before we conjugate verbs. You don't know how to conjugate verbs and adjectives yet. I don't think I should read this because we talked about it literally every single lesson. I think so. More example of using adjectives to describe nouns within a sentence. 나는 작은 집에 가다. I go to the small house. 나는 큰 차를 원하다. I want a big car. Must be someone who got married, man. Or someone who's in construction work. I tried to get 2x4s today, which is just, so I got a 2x4 that's 92 inches long. So it's really long. I can't fit it in like my little Ford or Honda Civic. So I was gonna rent a van or a truck if they had at Home Depot. And I even got a bunch of drywall because we had to change the drywall. And I went there. I spent like half an hour to an hour just in the customer service line. And then after getting all the material that I need, pushing this giant cart, because obviously it's like really, really long. They're like, oh, we don't have any cars available. I'm like, okay, I guess I'm just going to put all this back. So it was very sad. But then I went with someone who had a van and we were able to fit stuff in. Where was I? I have no idea. Oh yeah, I want a big car. So yeah, it would have been very useful if I had a pickup. I meet a handsome man. 나는 잘생긴 남자를 만나다. Oh, here's another tip. When I used to learn Korean, I would take the Korean word and then I'd learn how to say it in what it means in English. And then I realized that doesn't add. You can't see my hands. I take the Korean word and then learn the English meaning behind it. What I realized is when I hear it in Korean, I know what it means. But then when I want to say the word in English, like I want to say I'm a handsome guy. I wouldn't be able to say that in Korean because I can't remember what handsome is. And I think that's called like your working memory versus your passive memory. I don't really care about labels. But what I learned is if I want it in my working memory is I would take the English word and then I translate it. So I'd be like, handsome means 잘생기다. Chocolate means chocolate. This means, 안녕 or like whatever, any Korean word. Going from English to Korean, I realized that just gives much better results and I can actually immediately speak what I want to speak. That's just my tip. It made it so that I could immediately use the word instead of having to experience it a lot of times before I can actually use it. 나는 많은 돈이 있다. I have a lot of money. Which I don't. I wish I could say about this. But yeah, it doesn't apply. 나는 뚱뚱한 학생을 만나다. I meet a fat student. In lesson 1 and 2, I explained that adjectives cannot act on objects. Many learners look at the sentence above and say, hey, those sentences have an object and an adjective. Adjectives cannot act on an object that predicate a sentence. This means you cannot use a sentence like this in either language. 나는 집을 닦다. I small house. 나는 집을 닦다. However, I didn't say anything about adjectives and objects being used in the same sentence. Adjectives can be used to describe an object that is being predicated by a verb. That's confusing. I will continue to talk about this in the examples below. Okay, so he's going to talk about it, so I'm not going to talk about it. But if I feel like it's still confusing, I might give my 2 cents. I like following what he says in general, except when I'm talking about 2x4s. In all of the examples above, notice the difference in function between when an adjective is used to describe a noun compared to when it's used to predicate a sentence. For example, 나는 작은 집에 가다. I go to the small house, versus 그 집은 작다. That house is small. The adjective to be small predicates the sentence. Notice that there is no object in the sentence. Basically, and he may say this at the end of this section, but basically what's going on is, if the adjective is at the end of the sentence, if the adjective is the purpose of the sentence, like that house is small, the purpose is to say that the house is small, right? And you're ending the sentence with 작다, which is small, which is an adjective. You cannot have or 를 in the sentence. You cannot have an object, so to speak, in Korean. But if you're talking about that thing, like small house, where was it? Like, what sentence? Oh, it's actually right here. No, not this one. Let's look at this guy. 나는 뚱뚱한 학생을 만나다. I'm describing 학생 as fat, but then it's because I'm doing a verb. I meet a fat student. So it's not that there is a fat student. That sentence would not have or on 학생, but because this is just the adjective comes before it and it's just describing 학생, it's not saying that it can't have an object, because this object actually is for the verb, if that makes any sense. If it doesn't, just leave it in the comments and I'll try to explain it, or I'll try to make a specific video about that, as to why. Like, I'll do some research onto how people have explained it and whether people understood it or not. Depending, like, you can check the comments to see if people actually understood. And then I'll try to incorporate that into my explanation for next time. Okay. 저는 큰 차를 원하다. I want a big car. Oh, here's a perfect example. Yikes. 큰 is just, or 크다 is just describing 차. But what's really happening is I want, which is a verb, 원하다. So that's why you can use 를 here. Because 원하다, the ending verb, or the ending word is a verb, not an adjective. Here, it's an adjective. 이 차는 크다. This car is big. That's why it's 는 and not 를. I don't think that makes any sense, but I'm going to leave that for you guys to decide. In each of the examples above, even though the adjective always acts on as a descriptive word, rather, in the cases when they are placed before nouns to describe them, okay, this is such an easy way of describing it. Why did I say it? Those nouns are able to be placed anywhere in the sentence. So if the adjective comes before the noun, it kind of combines into the noun, and you don't have to worry about that specific rule of, unless there's an adjective at the end of the sentence as well. But it can do anything. For example, the subject, object, location, or other places. It can be anywhere, so you don't have to really worry about it in these kind of cases. The same thing happens in English, where I can have a simple sentence like, the man eats food. 남자는 음식을 먹다. I can use adjectives to describe each noun in the sentence, which is true. 행복한 여자는 작은 차 안에 있다. The happy girl is inside the small car. So I described the girl, and I described the car, and I actually said where she was. I could have just said the girl is inside the car, but I described these guys. I think that actually made some sense. You will see some adjectives that end in 있다. The most common are 맛있다 and 재미있다. But you can also say it as 재밌다. But I'd recommend just... Actually, I don't know. For this guy, maybe you should... Yeah, I'm not going to make any recommendations. But I do recommend that you learn that this has two different. Let me see where it is in here. Here, does he mention that it can be written differently? No, he does not. Okay, I guess he deems it as unnecessary information. But it can be. What am I saying? It can be written in a shorthand, and it would be pronounced 재밌다, or 재미있다. It's kind of up to you. Back to the lesson. When an adjective ends in 있다, like this, instead of attaching nian or 은 to the stem, you must attach 는 to the stem. For example, 그 남자는 재미있는 남자이다. That man is a funny man. And 나는 맛있는 음식을 먹다. I eat delicious food. I cook delicious food. Do we know the word for cook? I don't think we learned you. No, we didn't. Okay, well, I'm not going to make that sentence. I'm going to make it anyways. 나는 맛있는 음식을 요리하다. The difference here is due to what I call the 는 것 principle. Yeah, that's lesson 26, I think. For now, you do not need to think about why 는 is added instead of nian or 은. It is sufficient at this point to just memorize it's an exception. The concept behind the grammatical rule is introduced in lesson 26. I actually didn't know it was part of that principle. I kind of just... Obviously, I learned it, but I think I learned it before from him. Like, I learned it just from speaking to people. So I guess when I learned it, I was like, oh, I already know this. Yeah, that's something I do as well, which I don't know if I should, but it's just my preference. If I see something he's talking about, like a lesson, and I already experienced it, sometimes I'll just skim through it to see if there's another meaning that I didn't know about. But in general, like I don't go through the lesson. I go through the vocab. I like how he has a lot of vocab with every single lesson, and there's a memorize course as well. I like that. I don't like memorizing vocab. I just like I did memorize vocab for a long time, but that's because I had the discipline to it. But I prefer getting vocab from context, like watching variety shows or K-dramas, which are two things I don't enjoy watching. But I prefer learning through there or through YouTube videos than actually memorizing. I learned a lot of words like that. Like the word for unfair, I just saw it used in so many times and in situations where I would say that's unfair. So I knew what it meant. And then I did a quick neighbor search. So, wrong language. Go to the dictionary, and then I put in the word, and it showed up that it was unfair, which is 억울하다. But yeah, the Naver Dictionary, it's an awesome app, and it has a translator on there if you get the app as well. And the dictionary is awesome. The reason it's awesome, I'm not going to go over that. I should probably go back to the lesson. But you can check it out for yourself. Where were we? Here. The man who I met yesterday will go to the park that I want to go to. However, this is very complex and is the whole basis to the 는 것 principle that I mentioned earlier. As I said, you will begin to learn about this in lesson 26. To be a lot, 많다. A good way to practice your understanding of how adjectives can be used to describe a noun in a sentence or to predicate an entire sentence, right, is to apply your knowledge to the word 많다. 많다, or 많다, is an adjective that describes that there is many or a lot of something. Its translation to English usually depends on how it's used in a sentence. For example, when used to describe nouns in a sentence, it can be used in the following way. 나는 많은 음식을 먹다. I eat a lot of food. I should really read the English first, so that you have time to translate in your head. Actually, does it matter? I don't think so. In this case, you can already see the English and Korean, and your eyes probably glance over the English first, so I'm just going to say the Korean first. 나는 많은 돈이 있다. I have a lot of money. What's going on? Oh, my computer just lagged for a second. 나는 많은 아내가 okay, what? 있다. I have a lot of wives. Okay, well, I see you. Did his wife actually play this recording? Or is this...
나는 많은 아내가 있어. 저는 많은 아내가 있어요.
Wow, he made his wife record that. And yes, I was listening to the crackdown. Now, if we use 많다 to predicate a sentence, it can be used like this. 사람이 많다. There's a lot of people. In your Korean studies, you need to realize that it is never effective to think of a Korean sentence as an exact translation in English. And the fact is, Korean and English grammar are completely different. And trying to force the rules or the structure of English into Korean is unnatural, and vice versa. Which is why sometimes you see Koreans making like the same mistake over and over again, and it sounds weird, but they just do it because in Korean it's perfectly okay. If we stuck with the translation of a lot of for the meaning of 많다 and forced the English translation to the sentence 사람이 많다, you would get people are a lot of. I shouldn't have said what the sentence means then. But that clearly is not the case. Instead, what is the sentence 사람이 많다 describing? It's describing that there is a lot of something. Therefore, the translation can be there is a lot of people. 사람이 많다. Therefore, when 많다 predicates a sentence, its translation is usually there is / are a lot of. So the difference. Does he talk about the difference? Whatever, I'll talk about it anyways. No, I think he goes over it. Therefore, when 많다 predicates a sentence, it's usually its translation is usually there is / are a lot of. Here's another example. 음식이 많다. There's a lot of food. Versus 많은 음식. 먹었어. Or 먹다. I eat a lot of food. Okay, yeah, I shouldn't try to make sentences up off the top of my head because I mentioned a lot of stuff we haven't learned yet, which we'll be learning in the next 2 lessons. Of course, this can be applied to very complex sentences as well. But this is just the very beginning. Eventually, you'll be able to make sentences like this. There are a lot of singers who became famous and spent all their money too quickly. Are there? I mean, I'm sure there are. This sentence as well would end in 많다. The structure would basically be singers who become famous and spend all of their money too quickly. 가 많다. You are still very far from understanding how complex sentences like that work. But I want to show you that the content you learn in this lesson brings you one step closer, which is true. You're going to learn how to conjugate this, then you're going to learn how to say quickly, then you're going to learn how to say too quickly, then you're going to learn how to say like spend, then you're going to learn how to say singers who become famous, then you're going to learn how to say spend all their money, then you're going to learn how to put them all together, then you're going to be like, oh my god, I can say stuff. You're probably going to be able to do it before he teaches you. If you're consuming content, which I always stress, you should consume content because it's the easiest way to learn. And it should be content that you actually enjoy, because otherwise it's not easy. Because you have to force yourself to do it, which is why I mainly just read and don't watch any Korean content, even though I want to, but I just don't find stuff that I find entertaining. And I'm always open to suggestions, and I always try out something, and in general, I don't like it. I did like Signal. Signal was pretty good. I think they came out with season 2, but I'll check that after this lesson. Also notice that the particle /ka are attached to the subjects in sentences ending with 많다. There are some words where the use of the particle or ka on the subject of a sentence is more natural than 는 or 은. 많다 is one of these words. I did not know that. I would never use 는, or not I would never. In general, I would always say 사람이 많다. I would never say 사람은 많다. It just sounds weird. But I didn't realize it was a rule. I forgot about it. I learned it not memorized it, but applied it. And then forgot about it. And now it's like I'm learning it again. We will continue, which is strange because I made a lesson recap for this guy and I read the sentence and it didn't click until now. Wow. We will continue to tell you in which situations it is more natural. Oh, I actually remember reading this now. Because of this specific sentence, I remember. When it's more natural to use or ka instead of 은 or 는 as we progress through our lessons. I think I was debating whether I should add this to the lesson recap, and then I was like, no, it's a lesson recap. It's not, I'm not going over every single thing. I'm just going to go over the main things. So I didn't include it. But I do remember going over it when doing that. It's been a while since I did that. So, 도 is another particle that is very useful in Korean. It has the meaning of to or as well, and it can replace the subject particle 는 or un or the object particles 를 or Ugh, my throat. Yeah, I'm yelling a lot nowadays because doing construction. And there's a lot of like machines going on because we're a lot of people. Someone's using the shock vac, the other person using like freaking drill, and some guy's using like a handsaw or like a circular saw, and it's really, really loud. So we're just always yelling, and we're wearing earplugs, obviously. So my throat hurts. Depending on what you want to say to with. For example, 저도 한국어를 말해요. or 말하다. I speak Korean as well. Like, in addition to other people. So it's added to 저, which is I. So I as well can speak or speak Korean, which is different from 저는 한국어도 말하다. I, as well as Korean, speak. So I speak Korean as well, in addition to other languages, right? So here, because it's connected to me, it's like in addition to other people. And here, because it's connected to Korean, in addition to other languages. Make sure you notice the difference between the two previous examples. In English, these two are written exactly the same, but sound different when speaking. In the first example, you are emphasizing you also speak Korean, in addition to other people that you're talking about. While in the second example, you're emphasizing that you speak Korean. It's like, oh yeah, I speak Korean as well, versus, oh yeah, I also speak Korean. I think I would just say, I also speak Korean, instead of I speak Korean as well. But there might be situations where I say that. See the two examples below. 저도 사과를 먹다. I eat apples as well. 저는 사과도 먹다. I eat apples as well. Here I would probably just translate this to like, I also eat apples. Actually, you could translate both as I also. So here it's like, oh, me too, I eat apples as well. Versus, oh, I eat this, and I eat apples as well. That's kind of the difference. Notice, oh, I remember, I thought of a really funny example sentence for this. Like, being a professional door opener. I thought that was so silly. I don't know why, but I enjoyed it and I added it into the lesson recap for this lesson. Notice the difference in pronunciation in English. The first one has the meaning of other people's eat some apples, but I too eat some apples. The second example has the meaning of I eat some other food as well, but I also eat apples. It's important to recognize that whatever noun to is attached to is the thing that's being expressed as to, like, yeah. More examples. Sometimes speaking both languages at the same time, it just like your tongue gets caught up, especially if speaking 3 at the same time. Woo. I'm sure polyglots know what I'm talking about with like 5 or 10 languages. But yeah. More example. 나도 그것을 알다. I also know, or I know that too. 나도 피곤하다. I'm tired as well, or I'm tired too. 나의 딸도 행복하다. My daughter is happy too. There's a lot of examples in Unit 1. You can find the audio file. We're done with this lesson. I think I dragged on a lot. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the dictionary here. If you want, check it out. If you don't, you can log out or just end the video. But, so, I'm sure if you just do a Google search for Naver Dictionary, it'll be the first link. I think it should be. And obviously you'd want to use the English one. I mean, you could check out the Korean one, but I'm not going to do that for this video. But basically, yeah. Alright, let's check out Naver. Come on, buddy. You got this. You got this. Alright, let's say we wanted to learn the word unfair. Unfair. Oh, let me zoom in. Alright, so it'll show you like a couple words. And then obviously, how do you know which one to pick? Well, just click enter, and then it'll tell you, actually, I always skip this section. I always just look for sample sentences. But apparently there's word idioms. So unfair criticism would be this in Korean. Monstrously unfair would be this. I find it weird why they have, you could play it in English but not in Korean. But sure. I typed the word in English. I don't know. Makes no sense. 무리 됐어요. Sorry. Some inaccuracy. Okay. So take an unfair advantage. This is what I like. There's example sentences. Anytime you see the word unfair, you can see here. So now you have context. You can look at many more examples. So like 10 pages. Some words don't have that many, but most words I think that you'd be learning at this point have like tens of pages. And then for all you K-pop fans, especially nowadays, because a lot of you guys are talking about VLive, you can actually check the video out. I'm not going to do that because I don't know if I'm allowed to, but I think I'm allowed to. But anyways, you can check out the video. It'll automatically start the video from like right before they say like this sentence here. So you can listen to it, and then you can already know what it is, and you can actually hear the pronunciation of it. And there's, where'd it go? Where's my mouse? Hello? 어디 갔지? There you are. Yeah, there's like a bunch of pages of just like VLives on VLives on VLives, my friend. How many pages are there? 16? Yeah. Idol, and then it tells you who does it. I have no idea who any of these guys are. The only K-pop groups I know are like, Twice, BTS, Blackpink, and then the authors of Psycho, because when I went to Korea, who did Psycho? I don't remember actually their name, but there's apparently a lot of, Twice, someone I know. Mamamoo? His mom, okay, April. But yeah, so, 2 p.m. I think I've heard that. I actually thought that was a store, to be honest. But there's all these sample sentences. You can listen to the English if you want. You can listen to the Korean. You can go rewind and see what the context was. You can look at body language when they say the word. You can see which word they emphasize. Oguram, right? You didn't learn how to use it this way, but at least, it's a beneficial tool. So you have word idioms, you have meanings, you have examples, you have a thesaurus, and then you have an English to English dictionary. What is an English to English dictionary? Oh, it's just a regular dictionary. And then, what am I doing? Naver Dictionary. You can check out the Korean one, but I don't think you guys are... Oh, this is not... Whoa. I have no idea what this is. I've actually never used this before. Wait, this is not what I usually use. What is this? Is it this guy? Yes, this is what I use. Oh my god. That scared the everything out of me. I thought they changed what's going on. I was like, I have no idea what this is. Alright. That's it for this lesson. If you enjoyed, thank you for coming. If you enjoyed, I'm happy that I got you to enjoy a lesson. And I'm really happy to show you another lesson. Alright.